Welcome to the Secrets About Men Summit. What men wish you knew, but will never tell you. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single on Stilettos. Today we have as our special guest, Mr. Lucario, and I'm so excited to have him here today because today he's talking about the real reasons why he disappeared. And ladies, I know I get asked, this is probably one of the top questions I get asked all the time. And when you hear it from a man's point of view, it's going to make more sense to you. So, but before we jump into it, I would love to tell you a little bit about Mr. Lucario. So Mr. Lucario has been featured on VH1, Fuse, The Dish Network, TLC, ABC Family, The Tyra Banks Show, and Anderson Cooper. He has also written for FlaglerHill.com, SinglesWarehouse.co.uk, DatingAdvice.com, and the Fort Greene New York Times blog. What separates Mr. Lucario from other relationship gurus is his no-nonsense, realistic approach to the dating game and the game of life. The idea is to give men and women the knowledge, truth, and confidence to understand what they want, thus helping create the best options for themselves in love and in life. So welcome, Mr. Lucario. I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And ladies, I will tell you, I've interviewed Mr. Lucario before, and one of the reasons that why I had him on this summit is because he really does provide a no-nonsense approach, and he's going to tell you the truth. It may not be what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear because he's not going to give you some BS answer. So, Mr. Lucario, let's jump into it. Let's talk about the real reasons why he disappeared, because I'm sure you can attest to this, is that it's probably one of the top questions women ask you all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. A lot of times women want to know because, you know, you meet a guy, you really like him, and you're just wondering, like, what happened? Like, he stopped calling. You know, you want to go out on a second date or a third date, and it's just not happening. So, you know, it's a lot of times women just want to know, like, why is he going and what's going on with that, you know?
Yeah, I know. And I know there could be a million reasons why he disappeared, but let's talk about the top 5. Can you give us the first reason why a lot of men will disappear?
Right. So one of the reasons is a guy who'll disappear because a woman might be acting too needy, you know, really quick. So like when you go on a date with a guy, you really like him, and then you start calling him, texting him, checking up on him, and it's only been like the first and second date. And he's just like, you know, what's going on? Like, and it scares off a guy because, you know, guys want their space, they want freedom. So, you know, do their own thing, and they want to, you know, see you and get back to you and make things happen when basically on their own time. So it's like, it's a balance of giving them that freedom to, you know, do their own thing, and then just waiting for them to come back. And that's the thing that makes them want to come back to you, is when they see you have your own thing going on and you're not just being too needy, calling him, texting him, and just, you know, checking up on him all the time, you know?
Would you liken the quote unquote neediness to also being desperate?
Yeah, pretty much. Because sometimes it's like, you know, I understand how hard it is sometimes to find a guy you really like. So you're like, oh my God, I finally found this guy. And it's like, you're like, I want to hold on to him. I want to make it work. I want to make these things go down. And so that desperateness or that neediness starts to kick in. And then that's the thing that scares him away. So I always tell women, you know, if a guy likes you, he's going to come back. He's going to call you. He's going to want to see you again. You just have to, you know, just play it cool, do everything that you've been doing before you met him, and, you know, keep doing what you do in your life, and then things will flow naturally. It's like sometimes when you're needy, that's the thing that scares them away, and that's the thing that messes it up, you know, in the long run.
But what you're not saying that, like in the first couple of dates, that she shouldn't reach out at all. You're just saying that she shouldn't continually reach out. Is that correct?
Right. So for example, it's okay to, like, let's say you go on a date with a guy. You can text him or call him the next day and say, hey, you know, I had a really good time. You know, would love to see you again next week if you're free, you know, and that's cool. So that's fine. And then he'll get back to you, and then you guys will go out and make it happen. Neediness is if you text the guy and say, hey, I had a good time, you know, last night. And then you text them the next day and you're like, hey, so how you doing? And then he hasn't hit you back. And then you're like, hey, I haven't heard from you in 2 days. What's going on? And then he's like, yo, you know, that's neediness, where you're continuously contacting him, and you're continuously doing that, and that's the thing that's going to scare him away. So it's sort of like you put it out there that you're interested, you want to see him again, and then just leave it at that, and then wait for him to get back at you. Always look at it like, if you're playing ping pong, you hit the ball on one side and then the person hits it back. So it's like you contact him and then you wait for him to contact you back. You don't contact them, then contact them, then contact them. Has to be a back and forth thing,
Exactly. And you know what I always liken it to, and I love how you put it, like the ping pong ball game, is I also liken it to, ladies, you need to put the bait out there and let him take it and then come back out at you. And what people don't realize is if you keep pursuing him like that, you're not going to get him. It's actually pushing him away, because when guys do that to us, when they're too much, we kind of go, oh,
exactly right.
I know I'm great, but it's a little too much, right? So it's a push-pull dynamic. So that's a really good reason. So tell us the second reason why men disappear.
Well, the second reason a guy will disappear is sometimes a guy just wants sex. So if you, and a lot of women think, well, if I have sex with him too quickly, that's going to make him leave, but that's not necessarily the case. It's just that some guys, no matter when you had sex with them, they're going to leave either way. Also, what happens is that sometimes they'll disappear even if you don't have sex with them, because all they actually did want was sex, and it's kind of taken too long for the sex to happen. So a lot of times, you're going to be with the guy and you will not even really know in most cases if he just wants sex. Now, the only indicator in most cases is if you don't have sex with them for a while and then he leaves, and most likely it could be just because he wanted sex. Other times it's, he has sex with you and then he just leaves because he wanted the sex. So a lot of times you're not going to really know. That's just sort of like part of the dating game. That's kind of like a thing you have to sort of just chalk up to, certain situations are going to turn out like that. But there are going to be guys out there who just want to have sex with you, and that's really all it is. You know what I mean? And that's why he's going to disappear.
So would you suggest, I know you said sometimes it doesn't matter when someone has sex with the man, that he may or may not disappear. It just depends on the guy. But as a safety net for women, do you think it's smarter for them to not jump into bed too quickly, and so that he has more of an emotional attachment? Because what I think a lot of women don't realize is that men can separate the two. Men can just have sex and have no emotional attachment, and it's all good. Whereas women, I'm not saying that women can't separate the two. They can sometimes, but all too often I've seen where they think they can separate the two, and then they have sex with the man, and then all of a sudden they become more emotionally attached to him.
Right. Right. So the thing is this, and this is very unpopular advice, but this is advice that works, I would say, is that when you're interacting with a guy or you're interested in the guy, you should only really be having sex with him if you genuinely want to have sex with him, and you have to leave it at that. So what I mean is, you shouldn't necessarily be having sex with a guy because you think this is what's going to keep him interested. You shouldn't be having sex with a guy because you feel like pressured, like, oh, it's the third date, so I guess I have to. So any type of interaction you're having with him, especially when it comes to sex, should be based off of you wanting to have that. So if, let's say, for example, it doesn't necessarily work out, it's not saying that you're going to be like, you might be disappointed, like, hey, I really like them, wanted to keep going, but then you won't necessarily feel like, oh, I had sex with him because I was trying to keep him and it didn't work and now I feel bad. So especially at the beginning stages, if you're going to have sex with a guy, you should do it strictly because you actually want to genuinely do it, and not necessarily as a tactic to keep him or whatever it is like that. The thing is, withholding the sex doesn't necessarily do anything. That's the thing that most women don't understand, is because a girl might say, well, I'm going to not have sex with him so that he gets to know me. And then once he gets to know me, he'll like me. And then, he'll want to keep seeing me. The problem with that is that what most women don't understand is that when a guy is getting to know you, sex is part of him getting to know you. And so it's not about him just getting to know your personality. It's about him getting to know the whole you, and the whole you includes sex. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like you can separate the two in order to get him to like you, and then he'll keep going, with that. So it's sort of, so this is why I say, look, you just have to do it if you want to do it, and understand that it is what it is at that point, because you really never know. And this is the hard part. You really never know if the guy just wants sex or not. And so if you are having sex with him, it should just be something you wanted to do. So it actually benefits you in the moment. And then, you know, whatever happens or falls, wherever it goes from that, it goes from that, you know? So it's that type of thing. It's never, you know, the easy questions of this one, you know?
No, it's true. It's not an easy question, but I like that you said that you should do it when it feels right for you, because all too often I've seen where women feel that pressure to have sex, you know, by the third date or whenever it is. Right. And they're not feeling really ready, but they just feel that pressure, or like how you talked about, they think that it's going to help keep the guy. And Mr. Lucario, can you tell the ladies that no matter how good you are in bed, that's not what's going to keep a man?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the thing. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter. You could be like the best sex he's ever had. The thing is, you know, guys are going to want to stay if they're ready to stay with you, or they want to be in that situation. So the sex isn't necessarily the thing that's going to keep a guy around, you know, and that's the part that most women don't understand. It's a combination of everything. You know, I always say it's like if you're watching a movie or a film, you know, the whole film is what the person enjoys. You understand what I'm saying? It's like if you're just saying, hey, I want to keep him by giving him sex, or I'm going to keep him by just showing him my personality, you're only showing a preview. So a person doesn't know if they like a movie by just seeing a preview. They need to see the whole thing. So it's a combination of things about you that keeps the guy, not just you having sex or not having sex, or you showing your personality or not showing your personality. It's everything combined, you know?
Exactly. Well, thank you for clarifying that. So what's the third reason why men disappear?
Right. So the third reason men disappear is generally they'll just lose interest. And so that can be a number of different things. So at first, a guy, he's into you. He's like, oh, you know, she's beautiful. Everything is great. And then, you know, there might be something that you say or something that you do, or just in general, he just doesn't feel it like how he felt. The spark isn't there anymore. And, you know, that could just be from a number of different things, where it could be something going on in his life that, you know, is taking his attention away from you. You know, he could basically just like not feel the vibe. So it's something that is, you know, it's not anything tangible that you can sort of grasp a lot of times. So sometimes it's just a feeling he gets, but also sometimes it could be something that you're doing that could make him say, okay, well, I did like her, but then she did this, and then now I'm kind of like not feeling it anymore. You know what I mean? And so, and for example, like, let's say if you guys went on a date and you know, the waitress came and she bought the wrong food, and let's say if you're like upset about it and you have an attitude about it, that one thing could be the thing that makes him say, yeah, I'm not really, I don't think I like this girl anymore. And then he can probably not call you again just after that, you know, just seeing your attitude from that situation. So, you know, the guy will end up losing interest because of, you know, things that you might be doing or things that's going on with him.
Right. And I just want to clarify, because I want the ladies to understand that example that you just used, because I try to think in terms of what my audience is thinking, and they're probably thinking, some people may be thinking, why? That's so trivial, but it's actually not. How you treat a waitress is, in his eyes, how you may treat people in general, and that could be a huge turnoff. It's not just that one incident. So, because I don't want ladies to think, why? That's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is, because the guy who's looking at, you know, what, like you said, what you're doing, and he's saying, okay, well, if she becomes my girlfriend, you know, how is she going to treat my family if I introduce her, you know, like stuff like that. So
yeah, like if his mom brings out the wrong food.
Exactly.
I know that's drastic, but ladies, you get what we're trying to say.
I know.
So what's the fourth reason why men disappear?
Wow, the fourth reason why men disappear, and this is really terrible, but the fourth reason is because he has a girlfriend. Okay, and this is the part that most women probably won't know. They're like, I don't understand, why is he going out with me? And a lot of guys actually have girlfriends. They're not single, and they'll go out with you, they'll talk to you, they'll flirt with you, they'll get your number, they'll set a date, they'll plan the date, they'll go out with you on the date, they'll probably go out on even 2 or 3 dates, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them, and it's because they actually have a girlfriend. So the thing is, they lie to you and let you, think that this was something more than it is. And sometimes even these guys will have sex with you and you won't hear back from them because they're, busy talking to their girlfriends. They actually have someone. And a lot of guys are really good at hiding the fact that they have a girlfriend. So the girlfriend doesn't even know that he's cheating, but he's doing that with you. And so there was never going to be any type of long-term situation between you and him because he actually has somebody already.
Right. Well, so let me ask you a question. Can you give the ladies like some either screener questions or something where they can try and figure out in the first couple of dates if a guy has a girlfriend? Is there a way? Is there
right.
a way?
Well, this is a very bold way of doing this, and this usually sometimes if you suspect or you might think he has a girlfriend, or even sometimes some of these guys have wives or whatever. And so, I always say you can get into this conversation where, you can say, hey, my friend, she was dating this guy and then, she found out he had a girlfriend or whatever. And then, and you could be like, hey, listen, I don't really mind if I'm seeing a guy with a girlfriend. I just want to know if he has a girlfriend. So, do you have a girlfriend? Are you with someone? And then, I don't really care. I just want to be on the same page. So usually if a guy has a girlfriend and you say, hey, I don't care if you have a girlfriend, I just want to know, he'll let you know. He'll be like, yeah, I got a girl. And then by that point you can say, all right, I'm done, if you want to. So
yeah, because then it's kind of like, hey, you lied, now I lied, I'm out of here.
That's a little trick because usually you're not really going to know because men are really good at pretending. We're so good at pretending. We're so good at like hiding stuff a lot of times. So a guy, he could have a girlfriend and you'll never know. He's not going to tell you. He's going to find different ways to, let you know. One other way to know is that if some guys live with their girlfriend, so then if a guy never brings you to his house, usually that might be a sign that he actually has a girlfriend. Or if he like tries to just see you at night or whatever, he's like, booty call type of vibe, then that's, usually because he has a girlfriend, you know what I mean? So it's little things like that can indicate that he has a girlfriend.
Right. And also, I think a good way to try and find out is snoop on Facebook and see if he won't connect you on Facebook. Right. That might be an indicator that he has a girlfriend or a wife. But, and I will caution ladies on that one even, because I was dating a guy, this was about probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he actually connected to me on Facebook, but he was smart about it. And what he did was he hid what I would see in his feed.
Okay.
But it was funny because I was like, nothing shows up. And then it was really funny because they always get caught is someone commented on something he posted and they said, oh, sorry, we didn't see you and the wife on Christmas or whatever it was. And he made it seem like to me like he was going to be all alone on Christmas because I was going to be away. And and then he deleted the post and I was like, yeah, too late. I saw that.
I'm telling you, a lot of guys are slick. You got to watch out.
I know. So ladies, I mean, I think women are the best PIs ever. And sometimes you just got to do that. So
It's true. It's true.
So Mr. Lucario, what's the fifth reason why men disappear?
Right. So the fifth reason why men disappear is because they are players. They're in the stage where they want to be players. And there's literally nothing you can do about this because you could be the perfect woman and he's in a stage in his life where he just wants to, date around, have sex with as many women as possible. And so a lot of times, when he's with you, either you probably had sex with him or even if you didn't have sex with him, he moves on so quickly because he just wants to, be with multiple women, have a lot of women notches under his belt. And, when a guy's in that stage, he's not thinking about just being with one person. So, and a lot of times a guy who's in that stage when he wants to be a player or he is a player, his attention span is very, very short. You know what I mean? So you could be with him, you could like him, everything. And this is the funny part with guys like that is that everything seems really cool. Everything seems like it's going somewhere. And then he'll eventually disappear because there's another girl who's caught his attention. And then so since she's caught his attention, he's going to sort of forget about you, and he's going to stop calling you. He's going to, be all over the place. So those guys are just, those are the guys that are going to disappear quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. And Mr. Lucario, I'm going to give you an example, and I want the ladies to hear the male perspective of it, because I hear this a lot, where a woman will go out on a first date or even second date or third date with a guy, and she'll ask the guy what he's looking for, and he'll say, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious, right? And he says, I just, want to have fun. And what I hear a lot of women come back to me with is, yeah, that's what he said, but once he gets to know me, I'm sure I'll convince him and he'll want to be in a relationship with me. Right. And so, Mr. Lucario, can you tell ladies what a man means by that and what a woman should really do?
Right. The thing is, you have to believe what a guy is saying. When he says, hey, I'm not looking for anything serious, it means he's not looking for anything serious. So what I suggest in that situation, if you are interested in him, you have to go in knowing that this is where it's at right now. And don't be surprised that if it doesn't turn out how you expect, because like you were saying, you're like, oh, well, he's saying that now, maybe he'll change his mind later. And it's not saying that it doesn't happen, that a guy can change his mind, because depending on the situation you're in, depending on how it goes, he might, but that's rare. That's extremely rare that a guy will, change his mind and feel a certain way about that, especially if he's like, I'm just doing my thing and everything like that. So I always tell women to sort of listen to what a guy is saying, because what he's telling you is basically what's going to happen, 99% of the time. So if you're into what he's presenting, then go ahead for it. But if not, then you're wasting your time thinking you're going to get with him and change him and everything like that,
Exactly. And my suggestion would be, if you really think that there's a possibility that he could change his mind, go ahead and keep dating him, but date other men at the same time. And if he does change his mind at some point, then get rid of the other men. But you should have other men that you're dating, and you shouldn't put what I like to say is, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, because then you're screwed.
I agree. That's excellent advice, because, it's if you're dating him, and you keep dating him, you enjoy dating him, and you guys, have fun, and you're doing what you're doing. And if the event comes at some point where he's like, hey, you know what, I want to, make something happen with you on an exclusive level, then you can do that. But until that time comes, you just have to, keep understanding that this is where he's at,
Exactly. And I just want to also say that at some point, 3 to 6 months down the road, if he still hasn't made that commitment to you, that you can't also go back to him and go, hey, well, what are we? Because that's not going to work either. What are we doing?
Yeah, because he already said what it was, and that's
exactly.
Guys, if we say it, it's that's what it's at. And I think, a lot of times women sort of disappoint themselves because they think, okay, well, I can change him, or he's going to change, and expecting that to happen all the time,
Exactly. Well, these have been some amazing tips. And I know, ladies, some of the things that Mr. Lucario said wasn't what you really wanted to hear, but it's the truth, and it's what you need to hear, because we don't want you wasting time on men that aren't worth your time, right?
And one more thing can I say real quick is that if you notice, some of these situations really have nothing to do with you. And I think a lot of times women blame themselves for when a guy doesn't call back, or, he disappears. And you have to understand that a lot of these things have to do with him and what he's going through, and the things he wants to do. And it has nothing to do with you personally. So, don't take it personally when, okay, if he didn't call back, it could be a number of different things that has nothing to do with you. Like, for example, we say he has a girlfriend, that has nothing to do with you. He just lied, and, it is what it is. So don't beat yourself up too much, in that situation.
I love that you said that, because that's exactly what I find that women do when a man does disappear, is they look inward and go, was it because he wasn't attracted to me or something like that? And you're right. I love that you said some of these situations have nothing to do with you. And what I always say is, if he did disappear, he actually did you a favor, because he eliminated himself early in the process. And thank God you didn't waste a year in a relationship with him.
Right. It's true. Definitely.
Exactly. All right. So these have been some awesome, awesome tips. So, Mr. Lucario, I know you have a free gift for the ladies. So can you tell them about it?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I have an audio program called 7 Highly Effective Steps to Finding and Keeping a Man. And so that gives you some tips on how to really find guys, but also keep them and, keep them in your life. So it's a pretty good audio program.
Awesome. Well, ladies, to get Mr. Lucario's free gift, just click right here on the page for his free gift. So thanks, Mr. Lucario, for joining us on the Secrets About Men Summit, What Men Wish You Knew, but Will Never Tell You.